New hard sanctions regime targeting Iran's oil segment, superimposed by the joint state, go in strength on Monday. The Iran CEO, Hassan Rouhani, has answered sturdily. There is no question how the joint state will not reach successful in the new story versus Iran as they are receding move by move. Iran is hard dependent on its supply of petroleum, and renovated sanctions regime, if efficient, would hit the economics difficult. The EU has offered support companies trade in Iran in spite these new sanctions regime. But will these companies hazard creature hit by second sanctions regime that would range their own capacity to trading in the US? Indignant at which he describes as a horrible transactions, CEO Donald Trump card over the year stretched the US out of a multilateralism treaty achieved in Iran in 2015, by that stringent controls were located on Iran's nuke program in back for the lift of a broad band of sanctions regime. As a outcome, sanctions regime raised by the US and other in 2016 are now creature unilaterally deimposed by the joint state. But some countries, consisting such of the Europe Association, trust Iran is keeping to its portion of the deal on the nuke transactions and include done precise their intent not to pursue America's conduct. The newest US measures eliminate any business how trades in Iran of making industry in the joint state. In supplement, by distant reaching second sanctions regime, any US business many faces penalty if it does industry in a business how does industry in Iran. In procedure to enable companies to trading in Iran and not person rigid US penalties, the EU plans to carry out a fee arrangement, a specific goal car, SPV, how will allow these companies to escape the US finance framework. Love a banking, the SPV, would knob transactions among Iran and companies trade in it, avoiding straight payments in and out of Iran. So while Iran supply oil to a nation in the EU, the business of the reception nation would pay in the SPV. Iran can later use the fee as letter of credit to buy consumer goods of some countries in the EU via the SPV. Though in the EU schedule in location, the expenses of making any Iran-related industry could yet be too top for lot companies. For example, though if the navigation carrier were to buy oil via the SPV arrangement, the business ensuring the goods may yet person the risk of second sanctions regime and the capacity losing of all its industry in the joint state. Iran's economics isn't immediately confident on the US finance framework, says Richard Nephew, a sanctions regime specialist and elder investigator at Columbia College. Yet the question is how largest of Iran's largest trade partners do and how affects their willingness to put at hazard their accessing to the joint state to do industry in Iran. He says little or middle-sized companies are more than potential rather than big companies to use the SPV. Else issue is how the food utilized in the SPV to trading in Iran may as well infringe second sanctions regime, says Leah Hansen, Chief of World Trading and Domestic Safety at Kane Blacksmith. This transactions himself will be problematical. The US had insisted on cut supply to null but how seems hardly as it would growth the cost of petroleum, says Scott Lucas, a prof of world policy at Birmingham College. In supplement to the countries permitted to go on purchase Iran petroleum, the supporting of China, Iran's greatest trade affiliate, may as well show crucial. The recent period world sanctions regime were superimposed on its oil production among 2010 and 2016, Iran's supply bring down by nearly a part. There's no question supply will be struck the period about too much, but he's as well precise how Iran and its left industry partners will be work difficult to support trade links. Don't he be disappointed on how morbid the will constitute, says Eli Garanmaya, elder politics comrade at the Europe Justice on Overseas Relations. But Iran has survived repeated rounds of sanctions regime up. Iranians will be constrained in conclusion artistic ways to sell petroleum, reliant on their year of expertise of lifetime by early sanctions regime. And to fill in the gap leftward by lose Europe invest, Iran will be looking east to hammer new links in Russia and China.